APIs. Welcome to Stalkit tutorials. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to scrape data sources that are not HTML pages. We are going to see how to scrape data from Excel files, Json files, and XML files. Let's start with Excel import. Let's say you have a list of links that you want to scrape. For example, I have created an Excel file with a list of Amazon products I want to scrape. Each product will have the category name and the product link. I will want to create a scraper to import this list from the Excel file and then create another scraper that uses this list and scrapes some data from the product pages. Let's start with creating our first scraper and call it Amazon import. Then we will go straight to the scraper building screen and add an Excel action. In here, I can either use an external URL if the Excel file has a link or upload a file from the local computer. I will hit Choose File and go to the folder where I saved the file. The file types approved are Excel, either XLSX or XLS or CSV files. Since we have a header row, I will choose Yes on the Has Header selection and click on Preview. This will open for us a preview of the first few rows in the Preview tab. As you can see, it basically transformed our Excel file into HTML table. So now, let's add a data extraction action and set up the fields we want to import. I will give the table a name, same as before, and in the top elements option, I will want to select the row's element so that each row in the Excel will be imported into a separate row in our DB. I will click on the hand to switch to the selection model and select one of the cells. After clicking on a cell, you can see on the left that it gave us 3 suggestions. First one is just the cell we selected. Second one is both of the cells in the row where we clicked, and the last one will select all of the cells. However, it will choose this option. Instead of getting 19 rows of items, we will get 38 rows, and the category data will be inserted as a separate row as well. So what we want to do is click one time on the up arrow so it will mark us the whole row and not just one cell. Now you can see we have a suggestion for 19 elements. And if we choose it, you can see it marked us all of the rows correctly. All that's left for us to do is to select which field we want to scrape. Our Excel can have many columns and we don't have to import them all. Let's add the category field and select one of the categories in the table, and then add another field called URL and save it as well. I will save the tracker and then back to the scrapers list screen. Let's run it. You can see that the data was scraped successfully, and we now have a table which we can use in other scrapers. In case you want to run the same scraper but upload a different file with some format, all you need to do is click on the pencil, choose the name file you want to scrape, and rerun the scraper. In the next 2 videos, we will show you how to use the text modifier, how to scrape data from APIs that returns JSON or XML data formats. API is an acronym of Application Programming Interface. It's a method used to communicate between 2 applications and perform actions like searches. Many websites use it to load data dynamically into the page. For example, when you go to a website and search for something and you see some type of loader that spins till you get the results, you will notice that even after you get the results, you're still on the same URL. This means that there is a usage of API to load the data. Same thing with infinite scroll, pagination, and other cases. For showing you how to scrape API, I'll use the example of Yelp. Let's open Yelp page for a list of restaurants in New York. I could basically scrape data from the HTML, but I can also use their API. In order to access their API, all I have to do is add snippet into the URL, and you can see that it will return me plenty of data in JSON format. There are some very significant advantages to scraping data from APIs. First, it will run much faster because the JSON file uploads much faster than HTML pages. Secondly, many times you might find some extra valuable data in the API that is not displayed on the page. So, let's go ahead and scrape this JSON file. I'll do the same steps as before to create the new scraper. If the API opens up well in the Explorer window, It means that you can use the default Selenium method to scrape, but many times you will need to use the HTTP GET or POST methods and add some custom headers. We will show a few examples of those in the use case videos. Moving on to the scraper builder screen. This time I will add a JSON action and input the URL into the URL field and click on Preview. You can see that it transformed the JSON data into something more visible to work with. I can close and open each part of the tree, and let's leave only the search results data open. As you can see, each result will have many properties, so let's start and set up the data extraction action. I need to give it a table name, same as before. Now, I want each search result to be in a separate row, so I need to select the upper elements. I'll click on the hand to switch to the selection mode, and then I will click on one of the item numbers. You can see that same as with HTML, I will automatically get suggestions for similar objects, and clicking on one of the choices will mark all the similar objects belonging to this section. Great. Now, let's start selecting the fields we want to scrape. I'll start obviously with the business name and add a field called Name, and we'll mark the name field. I'll do the same for rating, reviews count, and phone number. One more thing I want to scrape is the isAdd field, because as you can see, it brought us 35 results, even though Yelp only shows 30 results per page. The reason is because it also contains the promoted business ads, which I won't want to scrape. Let's save the configuration, and before I'll run it, I want to add filters to remove all the promoted ads data and keep only the search results. So I will go again to the scraper settings, and this time I will go to step 3. Tracker conditions, and we'll add a condition. Let's select the isAdd field from the list. From the condition types, I'll select the include text condition, and in the parameter field I will enter false to filter all those that are not false. Now I'll click on finish and run this scraper. As you can see, we got exactly 30 items, like we wanted. And if we go to the data screen, we can view and export the data scraped. The XMLS scraping worked the same. I will show you a quick, simple one using a sample XML from W3 Schools. Let's create a new scraper and open the scraper builder screen, and this time I'll add an XML action instead of JSON. Let's copy our URL and click on Preview button. You can see that we are getting the same preview look as for JSON, and the reason is that Stalkit will transform the XML from XML to JSON. I'll add now a data extraction action and do exactly the same process as before. Let's run it once again. You can see how quickly it scraped the data. If I go to the data, I can see that all the fields are scraped perfectly. That's it for this video.